I'm Jenny. I'm here to do a speech about, informative speech about JUULs. So this is my audience. This is Victoria, Emma, Delaney, Paige, and Mom. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. So, show of hands. How many of you are familiar with this device? How many of you know what it's called?
A JUUL. A vape.
Good job.
E-cig.
No, Molly is right. It is a JUUL. It's not a vape. It's not an e-cig. It is a JUUL. But do you know actually? It's not a vape. It's not a vape. But do you know actually what it is? Have you ever used it before? Are you actually familiar with what you're putting into your body? I'd be naive to think that you've never used it before because obviously we're on a college campus, but these are taking young adults by storm, and we're here to figure out why. Today, I'm here to tell you everything about the ins and outs about these little USB devices. I'm here to tell you all the ins and outs about them, what flavors there are, where you can get them, how much they cost, and everything in between. Lastly, I'll be touching about the health issues and surprising benefits about them, short-term and long-term. Many people think that JUULing is a fun and less complicated alternative to smoking cigarettes, but the popularity of JUUL smoking has been an epidemic with significant impacts on young adults, and I'm here to tell you why. First of all, what is a JUUL? Do you guys know? JUULs are a portable nicotine delivery device designed to mimic the feel and experience of a traditional cigarette and without actually looking like one. So that's why they resemble a USB device. They're supposed to make tobacco smokers not actually feel like they're smoking a cigarette, which is why they're making young adults so excited to smoke one because people don't actually feel like they're smoking cigarettes, which is why they're so popular these days. But what does a portable nicotine delivery device mean? It means that with each inhale of a JUUL pod, which is what this little thing is, this is a JUUL pod, and this is an actual JUUL. With each inhale, they give off a dose of nicotine that makes JUULs potentially just as addictive as a regular cigarette or e-cigarette. But why are they so appealing to our young demographic? A lot of people like it for many different reasons. Some like it because of the different flavors. Some like it because of the fact that it doesn't smell like a typical cigarette. A lot of people like it because of the small size. But a lot of people like it because it's easy to conceal when going out, work, or for a typical night out. A lot of people like it because it's a minimal byproduct. But what does that mean? It means that whenever you smoke it, the smoke that comes out isn't as obnoxious as opposed to a cigarette or e-cigarette. So when you smoke from a JUUL is also very minor and dissipates quickly. So when you're smoking it in a public place like a restaurant and bar, that JUULs haven't been banned yet, as opposed to a traditional cigarette or e-cigarette. Much to faculty's dismay in schools, that's why teenagers have been smuggling JUULs in high schools and not like e-cigarettes or traditional cigarettes. JUULs come in 6 flavors, not 4, which are not like your typical cigarette or e-cigarette. Creme brulee, mint, mango, fruit melody, and cucumber. You can purchase these devices online through the official JUUL website.
What about Virginia tobacco?
Oh, Virginia tobacco. Yes, you're right. That's in my notes. Thank you. Or any convenience store near you. More than 1,300 retailers worldwide carry these devices, worrying the FDA chief because he calls this an epidemic of JUUL phenomenon. Since JUULs are not like your typical e-cigarette, it can get past an airport security, unlike regular e-cigs. A JUUL pod, which is this little thing, like I said, can last 200 puffs, and they never expire. So if you were to find one lying around 2 years, the flavor would still be fresh. But if the liquid were to run out, it is not recommended that you refill it with your own type of liquid, and because it could be extremely hazardous to your health and safety. The best thing to do would be to simply throw it out and refill it with a brand new JUUL pod. Which brings me to my next point. How much are people spending on this? JUUL labs are valued right now at $15 billion, which is a very impressive penny for just an actual nicotine device. But why is that? According to a study, an average JUUL smoker spends $180 a month on JUUL paraphernalia, whether that would be chargers, the JUUL pod, the JUUL cartridge, whatever that may be. but that is less than the average $238 that a regular traditional smoker spends on tobacco-related products. And according to a recent study, almost half the young adults who use JUULs actively include JUUL-related purchases in their monthly budget. When you think about it, a 4-pack of JUUL pods run at $15 a month, or $15, and JUUL kits can run to $35 to $50. So that leads the consumer to be racking up this JUUL stock to be $15 billion. But that's not the only reason why JUUL stocks is so expensive. In addition to that, the consumer sales, which is causing the massive uproar and stock to rise, fines are also being put in place to any retailers caught selling JUULs to underage teenagers. So like I said, there's 1,300 retailers selling JUULs to people worldwide. So any person that's caught selling JUULs to underage children are getting fined, including Walmart, 7-Eleven, Walgreens, etc. And these fines reach up to $12,000, which is why JUULs is a really expensive industry to be in right now. Which moves on to my final point. What are the health effects to JUULing? What do JUULs do to our body? Obviously, it's nicotine, so it's not exactly good for you, but a lot of people think that it's not as bad or good for you as a regular cigarette. But I'm here to tell you what it actually is. While many people think JUULs is harmless, people need to understand that inhaling nicotine and there are still health risks. According to a University of Virginia study, the JUUL is an electronic cigarette that creates aerosol to ingredients as with a regulated heating element. If you've ever handled a JUUL or passed it around the group, now you understand why it heats up a lot when you're using it a lot. That's because it has aerosol in it and it's heating because it's to prevent spontaneous combustion. But that's compared to a regular e-cigarette. This JUUL is actually pretty special because the heating in it is actually different from a regular e-cigarette because the heating is not to be regulated. So if you were to ever use this a lot, the heating cannot be adjusted. So it can't break as much as an e-cigarette, basically. So that's why a JUUL is actually pretty special because it just is not, you can't play with it as much as an e-cigarette. Which is why the people who made JUULs kind of just said, we don't want this to be as tampered with as much as e-cigarettes, which is kind of makes JUULs a little bit safer, I guess. But that's a fun fact. But one of another differences that JUUL smokers might not know about JUUL pods is that they contain 59 milligrams of nicotine per pod. Comparing that to an average cigarette, which is 12 milligrams in just one single cigarette. Breaking that down and doing a little bit of math, JUUL pods are equal to 1 pack of cigarette. 1 pack, just so you know. And some more fun facts of JUULs is that they were not invented as just a typical tobacco product. They were actually invented so that they were to help tobacco smokers quit smoking. Not actually sure why, but they were invented to help tobacco smokers quit. And they wanted to encourage people under the age of 21 to not buy their products. One of the reasons why JUULing has taken the adult society by storm is because it's so unique to other tobacco products because of the health benefits. In a recent study by University of Virginia, a student claimed that he didn't smoke JUULs because of the buzz that it gave him or because he liked smoking nicotine. He, in fact, does not ever smoke cigarettes or e-cigarettes. He said that he likes the way that it calms his ADHD symptoms. So, all in all, there is no way to tell if JUULs are better or worse than a traditional cigarette or e-cigarette. There are pros and cons to both lists, but that's not all I was here to do so. I was here to tell you the different facts about JUULs, the money people spend on them, and the health risks and surprising benefits. But what you can take away here is to be more informed about what you put into your body, and now you know a little bit more about JUULs.
Oh, thanks.